im se svima, i malima i velikima, i bogatima i siromašnima, i slobodnjacima i robovima, dade žig na njihovu desnu ruku ili na čela njihova, te da nitko ne može ništa kupiti ili prodati, osim onoga ko ima žig ili ime zvijeri ili broj imena njezina.
Pozdrav, dragi narode, dobrodošli u još jednu epizodu Slobodni. Današnja tema je Bugarska. Mnogi od vas su čuli, a neki možda i nisu, da se prošli tjedan dogodilo nešto izvanredno, a to je da je bugarska vlada dala ostavku nakon dugih i velikih protesta po cijeloj zemlji. Što je pozadina tih protesta i kako je do toga došlo je današnja tema. Ja imam veliku čast da predstavim dvoje ljudi koji su u tome sudjelovali, koji znaju kako se dogodilo, koji znaju i genezu cijele situacije i zato će biti izuzetno zanimljivo. Moji današnji gosti dolaze iz Bugarske, to je gospođa Marija Ilijeva i gospodin Radoslav Ivanov. Hello Marija, welcome to our show in Croatia.
Hello, nice to meet you.
Hello Radoslav, to you.
Good evening, nice to meet you as well. Thank you for the invitation.
Marija, can you say a few words about your background and what is your current position?
Yes, so I've been working for 20 years in banking sector on top manager positions, including being in Croatia for 1 year for Riječka banka. I've been executive director of Bank Austria, then chief executive officer for Bayerische Landesbank in Bulgaria, so 20 years in finance and banking. Presently, I'm member of the parliament in political party Velici.
Great. Mr. Ivanov, can you say us what is your role and what is your background?
My background is mainly in IT. I also have done sales, and now I'm a political activist with a coordinative role in the Velici party, and I do a lot of the international connections for the Velici party.
This Velici meet greatness.
Greatness.
Yes.
Fantastic. Maria, what happened last week? Some of us saw, I just spoke today with one guy who never heard that something happened in Bulgaria. But for our audience, can you explain how it come that Bulgarian government resigned?
Yes. It's not something which happens for one day, you can guess. So it's something which is really there for a long time. But people for the first time realized that the problem is really huge. And they realized that because at the end, especially the last 2 months, the situation in the parliament and outside in Bulgaria was really, really very, unacceptable for people, because the political party in power, they were coalition actually, they were accepting lots of laws which were not taking care of the people and being in the favor of the people and economic development and finances and stabilization of the different economic parts of Bulgaria, but especially also the justice system. And people were really, they were at the edge of seeing such things, corruption, completely, all the institutions were occupied and were under the power of the political party. I'm talking about all sorts of regulators which are dealing with economic sectors, energy sector, economic sectors, agriculture sector, all of these which produce something, plus the justice system, which is under the control of the people in power, again, the oligarchs and the people which are there for more than 20 years. And at the end, they were really behaving like there is nobody else except them. They accept all sorts of laws which were servicing them. They were ready to sell everything which was for sale, including Lukoil, this petrol company, including the the hazard business, all sorts of industries which they like to have under their control. They did it officially for 22nd sessions in the parliament or the commissions. They were not respecting even the opinion of the opposition. So at the end, with the budget for 2026, it was really ridiculous. They were putting a lot of taxes on the people, increasing mainly the taxes for medium and small businesses, which are the main engine of the economy, and they were increasing the salaries and the number of people and their salaries for the people from the state public sector, especially the security sector, the Ministry of Internal Affairs and the Ministry of Defense, and the justice sector, because these are the ones who are protecting them and who are really providing their politics and their deals and whatever they're dealing. Plus, they are paying with this. They are actually trying to steal lots of money through the state bank and the all sorts of European programs, because that's the way how they buy the elections, and they pay to the people from, especially from the small regions, which are totally depending on them, the mayors, the people on state jobs, because there is no other businesses in these small regions and small towns and villages. So these are really totally depending on them. So finally, the situation with the corruption and with the paid elections and the laws which were there accepting, and this ridiculous budget came to the situation when they, even for the 25 years period, they have never talked to the representatives of the big industries, and this has never happened before. This time they were even saying, we are not here to accept your opinion. If you like it, take it. If not, we will approve it ourselves, because we have majority in the parliament and we are going to do it. And it was really the end of this long story, and everybody went to the street, and they were starting with not accepting the budget as such. But then the protests really became so big in every town, in every small villages, and people were there from different ages, different political parties, with one simple request: please, we want you to resign and get out of your chairs and leave us.
Yeah. You sent me some videos from these protests. We'll see it through our conversation. You entering in Eurozone, does this protest has anything to do with this?
Sorry, I didn't hear the last sentence.
You as a Bulgari entering in Eurozone, does this protest has anything to do with this?
Yes. Of course, yes, because actually the base for this budget, which was proposed, was something which was requested from European Commission in order to be accepted in the Eurozone, which means 3% deficit, inflation rate also 3%, and the GDP through the debt something below 60%. So for the last criteria, we are okay, because we have relatively low debt to GDP because of the International Monetary Fund regime, which were there for 27 years. But the rest of the two criteria, which were inflation rate and the deficit, were completely not showing the real picture. They were arranged in such way, and that's why the government were trying, and the Ministry of Finance were trying to hide a lot of the costs through the Bulgarian Development Bank, which is under the control of the state, in order to not to be included in the calculation for the deficit. And also because of this increase of the salaries and increase of the number of the people under the public sector, all these incomes has to be covered somehow. They had to be put there because the costs were fixed and promised, and they had to keep their promises. The incomes which were put were incredibly high, unrealistically high, and in order to keep this deficit, they even wanted to take a debt of 20 billion, which is a really huge amount, which all of us has to pay for the incoming years, and that's for the second year, because 2025 we were taking such debt as well, next year again. So everything was arranged, and all the figures in this budget were not realistically calculated. They were not saying the truth because inflation rate is much above 3%. It's nearly 9 to 12%. They even changed the person on the top of the National Statistic Institute and even they changed the law because the new one was elected for 5 years, and in order to be changed, they changed the law that now the Ministry of Finance can change the person on the top of this ministry because of this institute, because they needed to have these figures in order to be compliant with the requirements for entering into the Eurozone. So around this, the budget was arranged, and around this, lots of lies were coming, and they were putting increase of taxes for the working business, mainly small and medium enterprises, plus taxes for entrepreneurships, and all this, and also they increased the tax for security payments for the pensioners with 2%, which is actually 2 basic points, but it's 20% increase. And all this burden was put there out of the business to serve the state public sector, to serve them. And it was really, really a huge injustice, and people were completely stressed, and they said, no way.
Yeah. You want to say they falsificate your balance sheet of Bulgaria?
Yeah.
Yes. Because same thing happened with Greece in 2012, I think. And after that, that was huge crisis in Greece. And what you're saying, that reminds me of this. Mr. Radoslav, you are a very young party. Can you say some history, how you became a political party, what you done before, and what is your specialty? Because you are the one who was working in this history park, and from there you started in politics.
Yes. First of all, I'd like to say that we never thought about creating a political party before this project that was it began in 2011 as an idea, and yet this historical park, which wants to represent the history, archaeology, and art of the Balkans in one place, so that foreign tourists that want to visit the so-called Eastern Europe that they don't understand that much and that well, they could visit it in a way as they visit Disney World, have interactions, have the opportunity to touch, to experience. So we created a large-scale, 140,000 square meter theme park, and with original materials of stone, marble, and wood, with the opportunity of people to experience history. And that way we decided to create a big magnet for the next level of tourists. Croatia is extremely famous with the amount of tourists that you have due to the fact that promoting history, and with a lot of help from HBO and a lot of movies that have been filmed, people love to see the original places where the events happened. So Croatians can be extremely glad that the location for Game of Thrones was chosen to be there, because the revenue that's coming in from tourism is enormous. There is some downsides, there are some upsides. Now that's up to the policies that the government and the tourism ministry can set up. But for Bulgaria, one thing I can tell you is that the world doesn't really know, for example, about Spartacus. Spartacus is actually from Bulgaria. There's a city that's the homeland of Spartacus. A lot of movies have been made about Spartacus. But the problem is, if you're a foreigner and you want to come and visit Spartacus's homeland, the government hasn't set up any infrastructure for that. So if you want to learn about the history or the stories of the ancients from the Balkan region of Bulgaria, you can't do it. So we, as ordinary investors, decided to crowdfund. Now I want to really bank on the word crowdfund without using any public resources. No European funds, no government contracts, no money from politicians, no mafia money or anything like that. Only personal funds poured into a project so large that it could attract even the highest class of tourists, which are the cultural tourists. That would be Japanese, United States tourists that really want to delve deep into that part of history, which they cannot experience or see anywhere else in the world. Now,
well, I suggest it's my pleasure to present your history park. It'll take only a few minutes. Great, you were very important during the Roman times.
Well, the crossroad countries are always the most important, I would like to say. So we definitely have had a lot of history, a lot of empires pass through us. But the problem is, like you mentioned, Roman and late Roman, which is the Byzantine Empire, there's no remains left because the Ottomans, when invading the Balkan Peninsula, they completely destroyed all the architecture. Most of the buildings have been reformed. So we only hear about the Byzantine Empire, but where can we see the Byzantine Empire? So the only remnants are in some of the ancient cities in Bulgaria. So what we decided to do is actually hire the Bulgarian Academy of Sciences and get consultants to give us the blueprints of the buildings from the Byzantine Empire while it was on the Balkans. And they allowed us to reconstruct and rebuild, like you saw in the video, all of these big famous reconstructed palaces and temples so that tourists can actually experience how it looked back in those times. Now, as we were doing all this, what happened is we received an attack. And we were thinking this could never happen. No business ever plans in their business plan to get a massive attack from its own government media. Back in 2019, we received a massive attack from, strangely enough, the liberal media in Bulgaria, which is connected to the Democrats, Democratic parties. They claim to be Democratic, but it didn't seem that way. Blaming this project to be archaic, old style, and not modern. So this scared people in the beginning so that they would not visit it in order to blame the ideologist and the person who who actually came up with the idea, Mr. Ivan Mikhailov, who is currently the leader of the Velichia party. But we did not give up back then. So the coronavirus came in 2020, so that hit the full industry of tourism. Then in 2022, the war in Ukraine hit all of the tourism from Russia and Ukraine. And 2 months after the war started, we received news that one of the largest wind turbine companies wants to build 80 experimental wind turbines that are 300 meters tall. Guess where? All around the historical park, in the Vetrino municipality. Out of all places in Bulgaria, they chose exactly there. And later we understand that this is a Green Deal project for 1.2 billion euro. And we happen to be in the way of 1.2 billion euro and the people that are in power. But all the people that have invested, all the people that live in the municipality, have properties, who are farming, we have large agricultural producers that are in that area. They said, no, this will not happen. No matter what they try to do with us, we will not allow wind turbines to be built here. Not only because of the safety reasons and the health issues that come with wind turbines. Everyone can do their own personal research about that. Bulgaria has been fined by the European Commission for breaking the laws when it comes to the security and research permits that are supposed to be issued before raising such wind turbines. In fact, if you drive from Varna along the seaside up towards Romania, there's miles and miles of wind turbines, and everybody can tell you that in just 5 minutes within those wind turbines, you receive a headache. So this is something that we know already, and we said it's not going to happen in this region because if you have wind turbines, you cannot have tourism. So that it's two industries that would clash together. But at the same time, ordinary investors like myself, I'm not from a rich family, I'm from an ordinary family. I had savings from working in college in the United States, like most Eastern Europeans go to the US for the summer. And from my savings, I decided to invest in the historical park, like thousands of other people around the country. Even foreigners, Americans also have invested in the historical park, not as institutional investors, but as ordinary investors. So this attack that came with us standing in the way of 1.2 billion euro project spawned the idea of creating a personal, for the region, political party. And that's when the Greatness political party idea came to be. Because if we don't have representation in the local city hall, there's no chance for us to protect no matter what investment we have. We received news that this large company had already did profiling on the city council members and were ready to bribe every single one of them through blackmail that they did during the profiling. We have documents and information about what that company did. The company's name is CWP Global, and they had local representatives in the region. But time was not on their side. So the local elections were in 2023, and the Velicia party won 6 out of the 13 seats, which is pretty much the majority for the small region that we were. And the whole project completely collapsed. And this was the first time a small little municipality with just a handful of people managed to tackle and kick out a 1.2 billion euro project, which is from the famous Green Deal, out of such an area. And we told them, just choose another place where there aren't other investors that have already started something, because they did not come. They did not ask us for any kind of roundtable discussions. They decided to fully invade without asking anyone, bribe us city council members, and just do whatever they want. So what happened during that process, I just want to be completely honest with you. We received death threats on the phone that there will be wind turbines or there will be blood. And then we learned that this big company hired the thugs and the underground in Bulgaria to do that and to scare all the people that dared to oppose this big project. We managed to actually go beyond that, and we actually managed to push them away as well. And that's when all hell broke loose. The government started blocking all the bank accounts of Evelyn Mikhailov, of the historical park, of all the construction companies, of everyone that did business in that area, received an economic attack at the largest scale you can think of. The government, through its proxies, started threatening Evelyn Mikhailov that he will be arrested for standing in the way of their decisions. And that's when the Velicia party decided to go for national elections so that we could protect not only what we've built, but also to protect other people throughout the country. That's when the big surprise happened in June 9th. That's when the Velicia party actually entered the race and managed to win 13 seats from the first try from the national elections in 2024.
From how many?
240. Bulgaria has 240 seats.
240, you won 13, and that was in 2023.
24.
24, okay.
6 months after the local elections were the national elections.
And that was a short story how you came in national policy. Let's present your Mr. Mikhailov and his way from this history park to parliament.
We are in the year 2025. All of Europe is occupied by global capitalists. All of Europe? No. A village populated by indomitable Bulgarians continues to resist the invader. It all begins with a talented young Bulgarian. He grows up as the grandson of 2 high school teachers and spends most of his childhood studying Bulgarian history on his own.
Още като малък, винаги съм искал да се върна във времена, когато България имала нужда от хора, които са готови дори да пожертват живота си.
He develops a deep love and respect for his nation. Years later, as a successful businessman, he develops the idea to turn his childhood inspiration into something truly unique. Historical Park, a monumental theme park that brings Bulgarian identity back to life in all its historic splendor. The man's name is Evelyn Mikhailov. He doesn't come from a wealthy background, isn't connected to the political ruling class. He is a deeply religious man, convinced that the true reward for our earthly efforts awaits us not in this world, but in the next. In total, Mikhailov is investing around 220 million euros in a project intended to serve as a blueprint for good governance. He builds wells, bridges, and roads, creates cultural centers, churches, and business opportunities. In the village of Neo-Fitrilski, where the historical park is located, Mikhailov develops a new kind of living establishment built on entrepreneurship, ecology, and healthy living. In April 2022, the gigantic patriotic project came under fire from global capitalism. Several dozen 270-meter high wind turbines were to be built around Mikhailov's village, right in the flight path of Eastern European migratory birds. This would have meant the destruction of the nature and culture of the entire Black Sea coastal region. It would also destroy any hope of further building Mihailov's sustainable community. Ivan had to fight back, and he went on the offensive. He founded a party and ran in the municipal elections.
Голямата изненада, ако говорим за изненади, със сигурност е величие.
Те са много силни в така наречените подкаст предавания.
Изненадата на тези избори е партия Величие.
The party's name is Greatness, or Velichi in Bulgarian. With his successful homeland protection concept, Ivan won 6 of the 13 municipal council seats and became the dominant party in their municipality of Vedrino. Greatness also ran in the national parliamentary elections in June 2024.
Величие влиза в парламента с 10 народни представители.
35 години какви ли не шарлатани минаха през парламента, кой не влезе и кой не излъга български народ.
Ever since then, Ivan has been the bane of the corrupt elite, who have gone out of their way to fight the positive image he has among regular folk.
Лошото е, че има стотици хора, които си унищожил, защото си ги загробил с кредити. Един схемаджия, измамник, който се облече в власт.
За първи път имаме организирана престъпна група, която си прави партия. Обикновено партиите си правят организирани престъпни групи.
Възраждане, Величие и едно и също проруски партии, които са против евро. Ще разбереме кой ще си има партия в парламента.
One thing became clear from the scandalous behavior of the authorities. They did not want Ivan in parliament for obvious reasons. Yet the Greatness Party and Mihailov never gave in. Today, this is the only political party in parliament that exposes corruption, truly cares about the ails of regular citizens, and tries to fight corruption head-on along the most important front line, that of the Bulgarian parliament. The battle is anything but easy, the PR attacks vicious. However, one thing Mihailov knows is that giving up is not an option.
Marija, you are now in the parliament. How it looks like when somebody anonymous from before came in the power and, of course, split the cards in the parliament, especially when you're saying us, and I heard there is a lots of corruption and more or less the fight between opposition and people in the power are exactly some kind of scenario, not really fight. It's more or less played role in the so-called fight, but they are playing for the same interest. And it seems too that some of them are strongly connected to the Ursula von der Leyen.
Yes. When we enter into the parliament, of course, we didn't expect the picture we saw there because we were really thinking in the beginning that there are some parties which are so-called opposition parties and maybe we can cope with them and together we'll try to change this, the people in power. But what we have seen is that they all play the same game. They have different roles and depending on the situation, one or the other card, let's say, is used. And it's very obvious when we were there now for 9 months and we can see how they change the roles, how they combine themselves depending of how they vote, depending on the laws they're voting, and then we can guess their interests. And the main thing here, which maybe is interesting for your audience also, is that what we have discovered that in the beginning, the first disappointment was this one, that there is no people in this parliament, parties in this parliament, which with whom we can really cooperate. Then we were turning our heads to Europe. We went to Brussels. We had our protests there against Euro acceptance because none of the figures were okay. We are the poorest country in Europe with the lowest wages and salaries, with so many artificial statistical information, and we don't think that this is now the right time to do it. But what was our surprise also is that no one doesn't matter of the number of signals we were sending to any European institutions present now in Brussels, no answer of any kind, no interest of anybody. Then the second disappointment was that there is no one to whom we can rely or can maybe protect us or any of these words we were hearing every day. Let's unite together. We are democracy. We are for the good of the people. We are very strong. We are going to move ahead together against the the bad ones with different names, Russians, US, anybody, I mean, the bad ones in general, but they're all playing the same game. Because it's obvious that our entrance into Eurozone was pushed by them. They asked for extraordinary report, which was not the one which we have every 2 years. This one is exceptional ones, and none of the figures, as I said, were right. Even on 8th of July was the date. Before 8th of July, after 8th of July, we were never been with the proper figures, and it says, which comes to say that they are the ones who want us to enter into the Eurozone. And here is not because of the tax we are going to pay or the reserve we are going to transfer, because our money are really peanuts compared to their funds and their resources, but it's about control. They want to exercise control on our territory, on our land. They want to place their factories for producing guns and something which they don't want to produce in Germany, for instance. They want to have their bases, military bases here in this territory. They want to be close to Black Sea, and which is 500 kilometers from Ukraine and Russia. They maybe want us to be close to NATO army, Turkey, the biggest one in NATO. They have their interests here. And that's why the biggest instrument they're using is to really put us under complete control by taking the currency, the national currency. Because parties are coming and going, political systems are changing, but they want to make sure that for a long period of time, they will exercise this control in case they need it, and they can manipulate by this way, they can put conditions by this way. They have to be sure that we are going to be under their control for any reason, because of the petrol deliveries, because of natural gas suppliers. Whatever is the reason, that's the way. Because in any other union, European Union, NATO, or world organizations of any kind, you can have a choice and exit at some point. But Eurozone, there is no exit. And that's why they're really closing their eyes for not proper figures, for all these criteria which we are not compliant with. And that's why they're pushing us. And now we are going to enter without government, without accepted budget, without proper figures, with inflation rate nearly 12%. Requirement is 3%, but they don't mind. They want us to be there in order to control the territory and us. So this is the name of the big game, which I suppose is very close to any other country. And that's why, which is not in the Eurozone. That's why we can say all type of movements and opposition party are raising their power in Poland, in Hungary, in Slovakia, in Romania, because they don't want to really be under their control, and they want to have a choice to decide on their own countries. And it's not just, they try to say this is nationalistic parties, which are really kind of at the edge of the political spectrum, but it's not about this. It's about national interest, meaning when we sit together in one table, we have to be in a position to protect the national interest, the salaries, the natural resources, the economic development, to be on the same page, to be able to negotiate and to have bargaining power, which is we don't believe in all this peace, democracy, and we are all for the benefit of the people. This is proven many times, and it's proven again.
Okay. That means simply globalists want to take over your country, and they found a way with taking your sovereignty, monetary sovereignty, and now you will implement euro. Doesn't matter that you protest it. Before we continue, what will happen in the future, I have one question for Radoslav. There is one anecdote before the elections, and I heard that they offered huge money to join them, and they want to corrupt you, and also their threat. Can you tell us this anecdote?
Yeah, well, I wish it was just an anecdote. It's actually a reality. Our leader, Ivan Mikhailov, received not 2 times, but 3 times opportunities to be bought, with the first time receiving 100 million euro, the whole province of Varna, and all the transportation systems in Bulgaria. That was the promise that he received if he would vote with the ruling parties, which are GERB and DPS Novo Načalo, ruled by Boyko Borisov, who's the right hand of Ursula for the Balkans, and Delan Peevski, who's actually the most corrupt politician in Bulgaria. He's sanctioned under the Magnitsky law. The second time when the bribe happened was decreased to 50 million euro last year in October. And Evelyn Mikhailov was told the following: if you don't accept the bribe, no matter how many votes you receive on these elections, you're never going to pass the 4% barrier. You're going to be stuck at 3.999%. Evelyn Mikhailov said no to the bribe. He will never, ever betray his voters and his people. 2 days later, the final results, 3.999%, and the Velichia party was kicked out of the parliament with hundreds of thousands of votes stolen or transferred to other political parties. This actually created a lot of rage, not only within the voters, but within the ordinary people. And that's when Velichia and a few other parties actually tackled the Constitutional Court, and a big case started, so that the Constitutional Court was forced to recount the votes, but not for all the votes, but barely about 15% of the sections. What they uncovered is that 50% of those sections were completely manipulated ballots. Some ballots were missing. Some of the protocols were completely messed up. And 5 months later, after those elections, Velichia was reinstalled into the parliament with barely 10 members of parliament. So from 13 from the 50th parliament down to 10 after extreme election fraud. And the third time he was offered a bribe was just a month ago by the Anti-Corruption Committee. 2 agents met him in a shopping mall, offering him whatever he desired. If he declined to take the role of one of the other opposition parties, his surrounding lawyer, accountant, and other friends that are from his previous businesses would be arrested immediately. He declined, and guess what happened? 7 people arrested in the most disgusting way, and their houses were completely trashed. All the documents, money, their wives were scared. One of them actually is severely diabetic. They took him in without any hygiene or anything. He was stuck in a cell with cockroaches. Disgusting. He was probably going to die because of the infections that happened, because the blood circulation is not working in his system due to the diabetes. The other one is actually just an ordinary employer that has a 2-month baby, and they don't care. They just did it because Evelyn Mikhailov said no to the bribe. And now 5 of them are still under arrest, and 2 are released with the accountant. He's released due to the health issues. Thank God that the courts released him. But they're still under arrest, and they're probably going to keep them until Evelyn decides to accept some sort of a bribe. So they decided to create a political arrest just to take control over the last standing real opposition party.
Yes, but they want to threaten you, and for sure they want to blackmail you, but you succeed to organize huge protests. Marija, how this happened? How you succeed to bring so many people on the street and to protest?
Well, actually, what we were doing from the very beginning in this parliament is to tell the people the truth, to really tell them what's actually happening, who is playing with whom, how much they are stealing every day, from which project. And we are doing that every day in every town, in every place in Bulgaria, with videos, with interviews with people who were really put under the pressure, because there are lots like this. It's not just Evelyn Mikhailov, there are many like him. And we are showing all these pictures every day in our channels. Of course, we are not in the list of the public TV channels, the official ones, which are also owned by the same people in power. But we managed to have our own channels and our own public, and we are really showing what's happening, something which has never been done before, because usually all these games were kept secret, and they were very good in presenting what they want to be seen from the parliament and on their TVs. So we were actually showing the truth. People start to waking up and see what's happening, and they were not happy. Of course, they were acting differently, and they start to show their real faces and the masks fall down and people become more and more aware of the real situation. And at the end, with all these actions which were happening, at the end, everybody finally, most of the people have said, no, it cannot happen like this. It's not going to be like this for another 35 years. We want to show them that we are ready to fight, and we want them to step out and go away. And we are taking the power in our hands. And they really enter into the streets, and they were very peaceful, very intelligent. They even tried to provoke some kind of fights and kind of, some, I don't know how to say it.
Hooligans.
Yeah, hooligans on the streets, but they were 20, 30 people, and they couldn't succeed at all. So although they were doing their actions, and the policemen were watching beside, not taking any actions, and leave them to really destroy as much as possible whatever subject on the streets. But actually people were very clever this time. And we had several protests every 2-3 days. And the last one was really, really huge. So I think that the courage came from the fact that the first time many people were outside, then the second protest was even bigger, and they finally realized that the third one is going to really be a huge one, and they don't have any chance to stay anymore if they want to, let's say, survive a little bit after these demonstrations and protests.
Yeah. What is, according to your constitution, what is the present situation in Bulgaria?
So now the president has to have, again, to offer the mandate to the three biggest parties to try to form a coalition. So the consultation started already yesterday and today. So he's inviting every political party in the presidency and discussing with them the possibility to create new government and new coalition. When all these three consultation and mandates were given back to the president because they cannot form a coalition and government, then he will announce the date for the new elections, which according to the constitution should be 2 months after forming the service government, the one who was to organize the elections. So this is where we are. Today was the second day of the consultations. Till the end of the week, he will meet all the other 5 parties. And then he will give the first mandate to the first party, then the second mandate to the second biggest party, and then the third one by his choice. And at the end, he will have to, if they do not succeed, he will announce the temporary government, and then after 2 months and something, the new elections date. Without government, without budget, we will use the old budget, 1/12 of it, because according to the law, if we don't have a new budget accepted, we have to use the one from this year every month, not to spend more than 1/12 of it. So all the public sector and everything is kind of on pause, using 1/12 of the amount spent this year.
Radoslav, there is one important question for Croatians. How come that so small party became so popular and so powerful in a just short period? You said you just entered in the policy in 2023, and now it's 2025. You succeed to gather so many people, and you succeed to push to resign your government.
I would like to say it's a joint success, because the protests that happened were such a mixture of people's hatred towards, like we love to coin the term, the rulership of the pigs from the book from George Orwell, The Animal Farm. So people on the protests, you would see a lot of these big posters with pigs and, just against the pigs, because the whole behavior is of a pig. And people just don't like that. So the young people were influenced a lot through TikTok, through Instagram, through influencers. Now, there are speculations that a lot of these influencers were pushed to actually gather all these people. One thing that I know considering that I've followed through on all the protests for the past 20 years, never has there been such enormous amounts of young people to join and understand the problem. Because a lot of the analysts said, these people don't know why they're on the streets. But that's not true. Because when you see why they spoke about bad healthcare, ridiculous infrastructure, a lot of lies on a daily basis, a lot of insults towards doctors made from the ruling class, this enraged a lot of these young doctors, young teachers, young entrepreneurs that want to develop in a democratic Europe, considering that we are a member state of the European Union, but it doesn't seem that way. We feel like we're in a dictatorship. And the young people understand this now because of all the content, like Marija said, that we have been producing on a daily basis, going to people. Because earlier I said that we entered the parliament from the first time, but that was due to the fact that we visited 56 cities in 2 months, and we visited 3 countries abroad to meet the Bulgarians and their problems and find a way to solve them before entering the parliament. Then on the second go, we visited 74 cities, had 74 live meetings that we filmed on YouTube with people doing Q&A directly and answering their problems. And the moment that we entered the parliament, it was like lightning fast solving of problems. And Marija is actually very famous in Bulgaria, along with the other members of parliament, that whenever a problem occurs in Bulgaria, whether it's ecological, whether it's the illegal murdering of animals, farms, she would be the one to go out on the microphone and explain to the people within minutes. Not within months, within minutes. She would get the information because the connection between the people that are on the ground with the people that are in the parliament is instantaneous. And this is the reason why people love what we do.
How did you communicate with your voters?
Yeah, and I can also just add to what Rado was saying, that many of the things which we were saying in the parliament, and also from what was happening last year, because these people were even doing such a mistakes, like organizing temporary commission in the parliament to investigate the work of historical park and Evelyn Mihailov himself, without to invite any of the investors to hear their point of view. And it was public on the TV, 18 people from the parliament, members of the parliament, sitting in a hall discussing private investment with private funds, any public funds at all, which is absolutely ridiculous. And everybody could associate with this picture and think about that they might be the next ones on the row. Because it's not just Evelyn. I mean, this is a practice of these people. So whatever we are saying in any of the in our public speeches, we are telling them something which they can immediately recognize that it is true and it may happen to me. And if I don't take action now, they will come to my house. They will steal my business. They will abuse with my children. They will steal my whatever money somehow, and this has never happened before. And when you know what it is and when you hear it from outside, you immediately recognize it, and you are in a position to say, haha, there is someone who has the courage enough to stand up and say the truth as it is. And of course, that's the way how we attract followers and people who they are waiting for us to say what was actually happening. Because every day we are showing to the public, we do translation of what is happening in the parliament. They are saying this law, it's about this officially, but actually behind is first, second, third. And we explain it in a simple language so everybody can understand what actually is going on and associate with this, understand it, and act upon it properly, accordingly, I hope. And it was obvious because such a protest hasn't happened for many years. I mean, I don't even remember when we had such a protests.
Yeah, that's amazing. I saw it. Just tell me, which media you are using to send this message? Radoslav, you have experience with this social network, social media. I for sure know that you don't have access to the mainstream media. What is your tool to connect with your voters?
Yes, regarding the media, of course, we're as modern as we can get. We use all social platforms you can think of. Facebook is strong. We have our own local media channels that are also created to solve people's problems on a local level and to get the criminals out of the shadows. And that way we can get the institutions to work. Also on TikTok, also on YouTube, the consistency that we have with producing content of solving people's problems becomes viral. And it's not that we're some sort of marketing experts. We just do something that nobody's done so far. And people just reshare it and they say, we want to be a part of this because obviously they're not afraid. Obviously they get their people arrested and they push even stronger after that. So this has created, I believe that people that were on the protests, a lot of them are our followers because they've seen how much we've been fighting against these, like we call them the pigs. No matter how many institutions they throw our way and how many media slander they do, we keep on fighting. And this is the type of people that just the ordinary folks want to be a part of, because everyone else has been lying to them for so many years, and it's just obvious by the rhetoric. And like Marija said, when they translate to you what they actually mean with what they said, then you're like, that's what they've been doing so many years. And now,
I will add that we have beautiful medias, so-called beautiful medias. Almost all big towns has this beautiful Sofia, beautiful Plovdiv, beautiful Varna. Beautiful, the name of the town, which is with the content of the local coordinators publishing something which is of interest for this town, with the name of the politicians in this town, what they do there. They have the full list of people in the municipality, members working on the different projects. So they work very well with the database of names with who is in which company related to which one, all this link between the projects, the money, who is going to steal which ones, the state orders, and all these things are very, shown publicly through these medias, and people can, they developed very much these medias, plus of course the national channels, which we have several of them, the party, the Slobodni Glas, and others. So we are kind of advancing on that. Every month we are more and more advanced with more followers, and that's how we do it.
Well, for the end, I have a question for both of you. Are you afraid of them? Marija?
Well, to be honest, not. Maybe it's too strong to say no, but when you know that you are there for certain reason, and it's so important, then you cannot really, there is anything more important than that for me in my life right now. So then anything else is less than that. And of course, we were all aware that it's not going to be easy. We all aware that they will try all sorts of methods to stop us. But when we are consciously starting to do this with the questions like how I can help to this society, what type of future I want to leave to my children, how they will remember me after 50 years, what type of step I left behind me, and am I really living a meaningful life, or I'm here just to eat and drink and pay bills and maybe be a slave for someone who I don't like, I don't love, I don't want to have anything like them. So that's the main question. And when you are there at that page, it's not difficult. It's not difficult. And when you see the fate in the eyes of the people around you, the ones who are supporting you, the ones who are ready to do everything just to have 1 or 2 or 3 of us there in the parliament defending their rights. I personally, I've been there many times, and it's really unbelievable, the people's love and support and the faith and the hope they're having. And it gives us a lot of energy and a lot of power to move forward and to believe that we are there to do something really meaningful.
Radoslav, you are just 32 years old. Are you afraid?
I should be, but what happened 2 months ago, I can completely say that I'm not afraid anymore. I had the opportunity to be a protector of the votes in a small town in Bulgaria that had elections 2 months ago. And accidentally, we caught criminals that were buying votes in the minority neighborhoods, in the gypsy neighborhoods. And we managed to do a civil arrest. And you could imagine big, strong thugs from the underground that are buying votes in super poor regions. We managed to catch them with their luxury cars in the most miserable areas of one small little village. And we became national heroes because we managed to show the whole country. It became viral. People were watching, 2,000-3,000 people were watching live how big, scary men are hiding like little kids in their cars. And this was the biggest slap that we did to the mafia.
In the suburb of Roms.
Yes, in the suburbs where you had Roma people that are being humiliated for, selling their votes. But we managed to stop that. And it was a huge slap to the face of the mafia. And if I could do this as an ordinary citizen, because I just had a camera with me, and I had 5 more of my friends that were with me during that day joining, and we managed to stop crimes that the cops are supposed to stop. And this completely turned the whole country around. So I would say if they decide to do any type of assassinations, arrests, or anything like that, after these events, it would only make us heroes, and they would multiply the results that we've had so far. So I wouldn't say I'm afraid.
And I may just say one sentence at the end, because when I was thinking to go in the parliament or not, and my son told me, he's 27, he said, "Mom, please don't go. I don't know what they're going to do. They may, they may destroy the house. They may do anything. Please don't go there. I'm afraid." And I was thinking, okay, to lie in the sofa and criticize watching TV and doing nothing, or give him an example how he, 27 years old, has to fight for his right and to be brave enough and act upon whatever injustice happens in his life. I said, no way to just do nothing about it, especially when he's afraid, because that's the example I'm giving to my son. And if I do nothing, he will do the same, and he will think that this is the way how he should behave tomorrow. And then what we can expect from such young people, being afraid to say what they need to say and fight for their rights. So that was actually the engine, which was the last drop in my decision-making process to enter into this politics. Although I was doing very successfully other things. I was not desperately trying to go there. But if we want to give an example, people, the young generation is following and watching what we are doing, not what we are talking, but what we are doing. And then they have the courage to do the same. So.
Thank you, Marija, for your courage. Thank you, Radoslav, for your work. We will follow what you are doing. For sure, that will be very interesting, especially for Croatia. We want to see what will be outcome of your protest and of your rebellion.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Imate jedan odličan primjer Bugarske. Dakle, narod se digao, dogodio se narod u Bugarskoj i prisilili su vladu da odstupi. Što će biti dalje, vidjet ćemo. U svakom slučaju to je nešto neobično, jer se takav protest u Bugarskoj nije dogodio još od 89. kada je bila velika smjena onog sustava u novi, takozvani demokratski. Zašto kažem takozvani? Zato što slične slučajeve uplitanja u izbore smo čuli i u Rumunjskoj nedavno. Imao sam emisiju o tome. Također vidimo i neke specifičnosti, recimo taj debunking kada vam ukinu račun zato što niste politički podobni, dakle miješaju se u vaša ljudska prava. Zatim te krađe na izborima na način da se to brutalno krade, dakle ne nešto što se ne da lako dokazati, ovdje se dokazalo da je čak 50% bilo ukradenih. A slušali smo tu priču proteklih nekoliko godina iz Sjedinjenih Država koje su navodno uzor demokracije. Vidjeli smo veliko uplitanje i čak i presude na kraju koje pokazuju da se kralo za vrijeme izbora. Sad ako se u demokratskim zemljama krade, što mi imamo kao uzor u budućnosti? Jer mi smo u Europskoj uniji zajedno sa Bugarima i mi navodno njegujemo te demokratske vrijednosti i dajemo pravo svakome da ima svoje mišljenje i da se politički angažira i to je naše ustavno pravo. Međutim, očigledno oni koji imaju moć, koji imaju novac, misle da trebaju zadržati taj moć i taj novac na ovakve načine. A kao što vidimo, nema previše opiranja od strane Europske komisije po tom pitanju, jer smo slušali i hvaljanje kako se odlično odradio posao u Rumunjskoj, gdje je oporbeni kandidat imao najveće šanse prije drugog kruga da pobjedi. U prvom krugu, prvo su ga u 12. mjesecu eliminirali iz utrke, a onda su drugog kandidata koji je ponovo imao velike šanse uspjeli pobijediti, i to uz angažman, čini se, dosta sumnjivih aktivnosti iz susjedne Moldavije. Zašto to znam? Pratio sam tu i imao sam goste po tom pitanju. I na kraju moram reći da smo čuli u Hrvatskom saboru pitanje parlamentarnog zastupnika gospodinu premijeru sa pitanjem što se dogodilo u Rumunjskoj, kako je moguće da se miješamo u te izbore. On je na to odgovorio, to su nova pravila, parafraziram naravno, to su nova pravila, morate se ili naviknuti na to ili jednostavno nećete biti u igri. Dakle, nova pravila su od Europske komisije, evropskih političara, nazovimo to tako, i ljubitelja demokracije, da se miješaju u izbore ako dolaze na vlast oni koji im nisu po volji. Evo, ovo je jedan primjer što se događa. Siguran sam da mnogi od vas nisu ni čuli da se događa to u Bugarskoj, zato je ovo važna emisija i važno je da vi znate, jer su to sve članovi Europske unije, što će se dogoditi. Na kraju čuli ste viziju gospođe Marije da oni žele upravljati zemljom preko monetarnog sustava i zato je nužno bilo da uđu u eurozonu, bez obzira što nisu zadovoljavali uvjete koji su bili postavljeni po maastrichtskim kriterijima. Dakle, po svaku cijenu uđite, jer to je način kako da upravljamo sa. Naravno, ako nekome date svoj novčanik, da on upravlja vašim kućanstvom. Oko toga nema tajne, mi smo svoj novčanik dali i danas imamo to što imamo. Nadam se da ste bili zadovoljni sa mojim današnjim gostima i sa temom i uskoro se vidimo u sljedećoj epizodi Slobodni.
Nitko vas neće natjerati da se poklonite zvijeri, učinit ćete to svoje voljom, odbacujući vjeru. Bićete laka meta za zvijeri, jer se niste podredili vjeri. Ako se ne podredite vjeri, podredit ćete se zvijeri. Toliko ćete se suobličiti sa ovim svijetom, da nećete ni prepoznati da ste u zabludu. Biće to najveća demonska prevara ikada i pravedno zaslužena osuda nad nepokajanim grešnicima.
Gdje su svi oni koji su nas liječili, zakletvom iz mrtvih prizali, svojom šutnjom ste nas izdali? Gdje su svi oni koji su nas liječili, zakletvom iz mrtvih prizali? Zar su nas